Hey, and welcome back. It is the first Tuesday in May. One day post Met Gala recap. I have an amazing guest on, a fashion knowledgeable queen, Sidney Szerlip from the lower side of Manhattan. So I'm super excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, you're like my first guest that's not like a friend or a family member. And I
That's
was just super
exciting.
excited. Yeah, I know. I was just so excited when you come on because Sydney posts some really good stories, and you have a separate fashion account called like Fashion Rats, I think, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I've kind of stopped it, but yeah.
Oh my God. Well, you should bring it back because I loved it. And you always have cool clothes. And I was wondering, one question for you is just like, where do you shop in general? And like, where do you get your clothes from? Because I see you always have like really cool stuff. So I was just wondering, like, what secrets do you know?
Um, well, I have an incredible addiction to online shopping as well as living in New York and having access to Soho makes it super easy to go in and try things on. But there's a lot of vintage designer stores around here that I go to. As well as most of my friends here work in fashion, as do I, and so everyone kind of has discounts. If you have friends that work in fashion, you should never be paying full price for anything.
Yeah. So do you go to like sample sales? Is it like in Sex and the City when you're like fighting over a bag?
There are a lot of sample sales. Usually the lines are too long. I don't go to those. There's a really good vintage store in Chinatown called James Valoria that has pretty good priced vintage. I've gotten a Tom Ford era Gucci jacket from there, a Versace blazer, Celine dress, among other things. And then I have a friend that works at Saks, so she has a pretty hefty employee discount. So pretty much Saks, James Valoria, and then um, every paycheck or so, every other paycheck I'll go and splurge on something in like
Yeah.
Acne or Gani or something like that.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, when I moved to New York, it's all over for everyone. So what is your like history with fashion or what's your experience? How long have you been into it?
So fashion merchandising was my minor. I've always been really intrigued by just clothes in general, and then when I got to college, I realized that like you could make a career out of it. Um when I graduated school, I worked at Macy's for a little bit doing merchandising. It wasn't very creative. So then
Mhm.
I moved to Notori. It's a luxury lingerie and ready to wear brand out of the Philippines.
Yeah.
That was really cool because I got to see the design process firsthand. It was a very small company. Um, but then I decided I wanted to do PR. So now I do
Yeah.
fashion PR and it's great.
So fun. Would your ultimate dream to be like a designer or do you want to stay in PR? What do you think?
Oh, it changes every day. I think my ultimate dream would be a stylist. Um,
Love.
yeah, I would love that, but to start all over again
Yeah.
seems difficult, but maybe one day.
So what do you mean when you say start all over again? Like, do you have to go to school to be a stylist?
No, you just have to. I just have started making my way in the PR standpoint of the fashion industry, and to have to basically start from the bottom again at the entry level salary and
Yeah.
all of
Okay.
that. Basically, like I just can't keep starting over because when I did Macy's, Notori, PR, like I started from the beginning three times to
Yeah.
trying to decide what I wanted to do. So right now I just can't start all over again basically.
I totally know what you mean. Like it's so hard because I feel like some of the skills like are transferable or like the heart is there. Like, doesn't that count?
Yeah, exactly. The heart is there for sure, but people don't seem to think it counts.
Yeah. Who's your favorite stylist?
Ooh. So he's a little bit controversial and he also retired recently.
La
But Law
Roche.
Roach, yeah, I love everything that he styles. He, for the most part, always hits. Um, yeah, he was great, but he is a little bit on the controversial side. Sometimes people get confused by him. But Kara Welch is also really good. It might be Cara Welch. I don't know.
Yeah. Who does she
And
do mostly?
she does Hailey Bieber now. It used to be Maeve Riley. And then she has a I like honestly I'm blanking on her full-time clients, but she
Okay.
has a lot of people that she dresses for like various things. Like for I want to say it was either the Oscars or the Grammys, she had like 17 styles in there. She
Wow.
dresses a ton of people.
Yeah, I'm definitely most interested in like the celebrity aspect of fashion. So, and that was kind of like my gateway into fashion is because I am so obsessed with pop culture and like I always watch like every award show, every Grammys, every Oscars. And I started like watching earlier and earlier till I was turning it on at 4 for the red carpet. And then I
Yeah.
started getting like, when I started noticing patterns, like I see Mimi Cottrell like all the time because she dressed Ariana Grande and Ariana Grande is one of my ride or dies.
Yeah.
So I like when I just started recognizing names. But who are your celebrity ride or dies since this is a pop culture podcast?
See, this is like not the answer you're going for, but I'm not a big like celebrity lover per se. Like that sounds insane. Like I love designers. Like
Okay.
that's my thing. Like I mean, obviously like I love Rihanna and like Margot Robbie. Like I love all the ones that like I know, but I know
Hmm.
more so the designers and like what these celebrities are wearing more so than like about the celebrities, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
That's perfect. So we'll be like the perfect commentators for the Met, I feel like.
Perfect.
So what did you think of the Met last night overall?
Um, I mean, I always like the drama of it all. I mean, I'm always dying to go, but I thought everyone was a bit simple and on the boringer side for the Met. I feel like usually there's a lot more like astonishing looks, but to be fair, Karl Lagerfeld, like as a person, wasn't super, in your face. So, I mean, I think everyone like was pretty on theme with that. But I just do love when people do outrageous things.
Yeah. So what have been some of your favorite Met looks ever?
Um, well, I wasn't alive for like my all-time favorite look. Cher in 1974, dressed by Bob Mackie, the glamour
Hmm.
of old Hollywood was the theme, and it's like the basically nude but super sparkly dress that like Cher is known for with like
Yeah.
the um
Yeah.
feathers. But then for, a more recent one, I loved Rihanna in 2015 for the China Through the Looking Glass, when she was
Yeah.
in Guao Pei, and then Lady Gaga in 2019 for Camp when she was wearing Brandon Maxwell. I want to say she had four, maybe more separate looks.
Yeah, I
That was
remember that.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I Okay, so when did you first start paying attention to the Met?
I want to say it was probably 2015, China Through the Looking
Okay.
Glass. I think that might have been that's the first one that I can remember really like having thoughts on.
Yeah. Okay, I like specifically remember like what I was doing when I was like watching like my first Met. It was Heavenly Bodies in 2018 and
Mm-hmm.
I it was like I had just gotten home from college because it was like first Monday in May. And I like started rolling through like Twitter and Ariana Grande, like I said, is my ride or die. And I saw she was wearing that like fabulous Sistine Chapel dress. And then I was like, what is this? And then I just kept like getting into the coverage and like Kim wore that like amazing gold dress with like the cross on it. And that was like when we got
Yeah.
Zendaya, Joan of Arc. So then that was when I was like into it. And
Mm-hmm.
then camp for next year, I loved. And I did a little internet sleuthing. So I Googled, you know how you can see like Google Trends?
Yeah.
And you can Google like how many times things have been Googled over a certain period of time. So I looked up the Met Gala from for the last 10 years in Google, and it will show you like based on a scale from like 0 to 100, like 100 being like the most and like 0 being the least it's been Googled. So it was only like it got a score of 2 up until like 2016. And then in like 2019, it like jumped up like drastically by like 60 points. So like I feel like the Met wasn't even that Like for the average lay person, just like the normal people, it wasn't even that talked about up until
Yeah.
like Heavenly Bodies, and then we got Camp, and now I feel like I see it everywhere. And I don't know if it's confirmation bias just because like I'm into it, so I'm naturally like fed that content. But I
Yeah.
swear, like no one was talking about the Met like in before Heavenly Bodies.
I think that, well, so see, but the 2015 one, the China Through the Looking Glass, see, I think that that is like the best Met theme, but I was paying attention to it. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It would be interesting to see when Vogue started their live stream, like when
They
that got
started
put
it three
in.
years ago.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
2019 because there wasn't one in 2020.
Okay.
So I feel like
Uh,
it was after Heavenly Bodies when it like gained a lot of popularity because it drew so many like Stan Twitter like blew up,
yeah.
because I was all up on like Twitter and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like Vogue was like, "Oh, there's a lot of people that would be interested in this." And I imagine does their like has done their live from the red carpet the whole time and Vogue was like, "I should get in on
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I just think fashion in general like has become, as it gets more mainstream, I guess, just because of social media and all of that. I feel like the whole virality standpoint is, people are just trying to go viral and people
that."
are, now trying to be the best. And I feel like that definitely could have something to do with it.
I think so too. And also, I don't know about you, but I don't like hearing fashion opinions from people that aren't experts in fashion. Like, everybody cannot have an opinion. I'm sorry.
I see. I like love to talk to people about it and hear their opinions, but when people don't have good fashion taste on their own and then they're saying a differing opinion than me, I'm like, like, okay, I
Yeah,
think we
it's
should
more
stop
like
this
on the
conversation.
internet. Like, people, you know how everyone drags Margot Robbie because she like never slays?
Yeah.
Do you see that? And people were like dragging her, like, oh, like another miss from Margot, like Margot's stylist needs to be fired. But she was wearing like vintage Chanel that Cindy Crawford wore. So is that not a slay? Like, what do you think?
So for this specifically, this Met Gala,
Yeah.
so I do personally think that Margot Robbie did get, the shit end of the stick, in her Chanel contract, which I believe is over because she's been wearing other people. Um, but like I do think that her outfits just have not been hitting recently.
Yeah.
Whether that be her stylist's fault or her designer's fault or her own fault for just like not realizing what colors wash her out and like what doesn't look good on her. Um, but for this specific Met, I personally loved her dress. She was one of my favorites. It was 1993 uh couture Chanel that Cindy Crawford wore, and I like loved that. I don't think enough people wore couture for this. I do know it's hard to get your hands on some of it these days because it's
Yeah.
like in archives locked up by people. I don't think that like it was the best look, but it was definitely on theme and it was great. I don't think it was a miss though. I think those people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So is there like a kind of hierarchy in the Met, like who can get couture? And then, okay, couture is like the OG created dress, right? Is that what
So
that means?
couture is basically like custom luxury. So there's
Okay.
couture and then there's ready to wear. And couture is much more expensive and it's usually one of one or few of one. Ready to wear for all of like New York Fashion Week and all of that. It's all ready to wear, so they're showcasing their collections that are going to go live on the website. But like a couture is never going to go live on the website. That is like stuff that is going into museums or into other archives
Oh.
or lent to celebs or bought by
Mhm.
celebs, very wealthy
Yeah.
people.
So it's definitely like an honor to wear a piece of couture to the Met.
Yes, I definitely, but it really depends on the stylist. It's all about the
Mm.
connections that the stylists have. I don't think stylists get enough um respect for what they do. Like to be like it's not like they're just, calling up a designer and being like, "I want to wear this." For this theme specifically, there were probably so many people who wanted to wear the same thing. It really just depends on your connections and,
Yeah.
how you can, get your way with for your client.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like it'd be competitive. So what were your favorite looks last night?
Um, so I have a few. I like have a notes page over here so I can
Yeah.
remember. Um, I loved Doja Cat. I know people were like making fun of her. I thought that it was perfect for the Met Gala. It was absolutely stunning, and it was the perfect mix of elegance, virality, humor, class. Like I just thought it was great.
Hmm.
And then Anne Hathaway knocked it out of the park. The way that Donatella, um, the way that she incorporated, the signature, I want to say it was 1993 when Gianni Versace made the safety pin dress. The way that she did that with Chanel's signature tweed, I just thought was
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. I thought that was the best.
Yeah. I love Anne Hathaway too. I love this little comeback tour that she's on because she
I
was
know
like,
she's been going
yeah,
so hard with her outfits recently. She's been so good.
yeah. Does she have a dedicated stylist right now?
I would need to look it up. I don't know the answer to that question. I do know she's the new face of Versace, which is why Versace was styling her.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like I said, I loved the dress. I don't see her as the face of Versace. Um, she was just the face of Bulgari, which I thought was made a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Why don't you think she's the face of Versace?
I feel like Versace is so it's raunchy. I was saying raunchy, thinking risque.
Roche.
It's but raunchy and risque, and it's
Yeah. And
I don't
she's
know,
so
and
like
it's weird,
modern.
and yeah,
Yeah.
she's not like weird.
Hmm.
Like Dua Lipa was the face of Versace recently, and I feel like she's more in that like punk weird,
Yeah.
style. Anne Hathaway I've always found very elegant and
Yeah.
yeah, I just don't know if it matches, but maybe Versace's trying to make a point by this, or maybe she's trying to make a point by this.
Yeah. So there's so many designers at the Met, and like, of course, I know, like, we know all the main ones, like Versace, Louis Vuitton, which was Louis Vuitton not at the Met?
Um,
Because I didn't see that they dressed
there's
anyone.
no, yeah, there's no one that I saw that was dressed by them. I would need to look it up, but yeah, I didn't see anyone dressed by Louis
I
Vuitton.
know.
But
I
that would be
was,
surprising
yeah.
if they weren't there.
I'll have to check. I looked at their Instagram this morning, and usually, like, they'll all post something, but I didn't see Louis Vuitton. So, yeah,
Interesting. I didn't even think
do a little
about
fact
that.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were noticeably absent. So there's all the main players, but then there's so many smaller players too. Like I'm still learning names that I didn't really know. Um, this is maybe
Yeah.
embarrassing, but like Schiaparelli, I didn't really know
Yeah,
this.
Schiaparelli. So that's my favorite brand, basically.
Oh, cool.
Daniel Roseberry is the creative director, and I just think he's a genius.
Hmm.
Um, they are pretty up and coming, I would say, in the last few years, but they have a pretty interesting history. Definitely, you should look into it.
I know that Elsa Schiaparelli had beef with Coco Chanel back in the day.
I
I
did know
read
that
that.
too, but I don't know what the beef is about off the
I
top of my
didn't really
head.
read into it. But yeah, there like any sort of hierarchy at the Met with like these smaller, lesser known designers and then like the big ones like Versace and Givenchy and Oscar de la
So it really, see, I think it has to do with the invites. I think Anna Winter um r- requests designers to dress certain people. Um and then obviously if you're an ambassador, you're getting dressed by, that
Hmm.
design house. Um but I really think that it is a lot of like internal fashion politics that go into who dresses who. Um I would like love to be in the inner circle and know what goes into that, but
Yeah.
for the smaller fashion designers, I feel like they're paying to go to get that coverage from being at the Met.
Hmm.
Um or, the celebrities are paying for them to go. I have no idea. I don't know. I know that it's rare for small designers to get a lot of coverage or dress a lot of people, which is something that people have a problem with for the Met.
Yeah.
Um,
And you mentioned
but
that it was Jacques Moose's first time.
yeah, it was Jacquemus's first time, along
Okay.
with a couple others, Richard Quinn and Kate Barton Design.
Okay.
Um, but Jacquemus only dressed one person, Bad Bunny, and I thought he killed it.
Huge win. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
That's literally he's like the biggest male A-lister right now, I feel like.
Yeah. And Jacquemus is pretty big, but not for an event like this. So that was like
Yeah.
huge for him.
Yeah, I feel like I mean I've been seeing Jacques Moose a lot, which definitely says something because like if I'm noticing it, then it's definitely getting really big. And then one other designer I hadn't heard of is the one that did Cardi B. It was like a Chinese name.
I actually hadn't heard of that one either.
Yeah, I thought
I
that
don't know
was
the name off the top of my head, but I didn't recognize the name.
and I thought that was a big get because Cardi B, she's always like a big deal at the Met. I love
Yeah.
Cardi B, by the way.
Yeah,
She's like one of my
I
ride or
she's
die.
great. She is great.
I also I liked Jenna Ortega. I thought she looked good, and Tom Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. Tom Brown is like one of my favorite designers. He always kills
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And then I loved Kylie. I feel like you can never say that you liked a Kardashian at the Met, but like she just looked amazing. Oh my God. And she was in JPG.
Yeah, another one of my favorite brands. He's been doing like step-in designers for his past couple seasons. But
Yeah.
I didn't love it. Hayden Ackerman or Hader Ackerman. I don't know which I am
Oh
blanking.
yeah. Was that the
Um,
stylist or the designer of the
so that
dress?
was the designer. So I
Got
want to
it.
say it was 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago. He was like the step-in designer for Gautier, but I didn't love it for the Met. I thought she looked great in it. I loved that the coat turned into the train, but I just thought it was a little bit safe for her for the Met,
Yeah.
and also it felt very like she was going to like a Revolve festival.
Ooh, that's a hot take. I agree with that. I mean, after that atrocity last year, did you like
Mm,
her off-white look last year?
I thought it was like, no, I didn't love.
Yeah, I that was one of those things where I'm like, maybe I'm missing something because it was like the bridal dress and then like the like hat and the
No,
veil.
she was like trying something, and I don't think that it stuck.
Yeah, so maybe she was playing it safe. So since you love Scarparelli, what was it again?
Schiaparelli.
Scarparelli. Oh my God, did you like Kim K's look?
Um, so I like the idea behind it. It looked unfinished to me.
Yeah,
It looked like she was wearing like it looked kind of like she was trying to advertise Skims.
totally.
Um, but I did like it was made with like thousands of hand embroidered beads or whatever, pearls.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought that was cool, but that actually was one of the first Schiaparelli looks that I was a little bit disappointed by, I will say.
Wow. Who else wore Schiaparelli last night?
Michaela Cole,
Oh
who
yeah.
she was also up there on my favorite looks. I loved her.
Yeah.
And then there might have been one or two others, but I am blanking.
Yeah. I loved Dua Lipa mostly because I did so much research yesterday about Chanel and I was like looking at the different muses and like the different Chanel brides. And when I saw Dua Lipa, I that was like the first time I made like a connection in fashion and I was so proud of
Yeah.
myself. So I am a little bit biased just because I recognized it, but I did love that dress. Like when I saw the original pictures of Claudia Schiffer, like that was the bridal look that I was like, holy shit, that's stunning. And then to
Yeah.
see Dua Lipa, one of my ride or dies, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I loved that look. I again thought that it was a very safe for Dua, but like I loved to see that vintage being pulled out onto the carpet. I want to say it was from 1992 couture.
Hmm.
Um yeah, that was great. And she
It
was
was
wearing that
amazing.
gorgeous necklace. Cartier necklace is the
Yeah.
first time it's seen the light of day. It's been in a vault underground for since it was made.
What's the point of that? Like,
I don't know.
have you seen Ocean's 8?
Yeah. That's the necklace that they would be stealing if they were
In
coming to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, I was disappointed that Claudia Schiffer wasn't there.
Yeah, also Linda Evangelista wasn't there who was
Well,
like
yeah. You know what
um
happened to her?
well, yeah, but
Her
she's been
like
stepping out like so much recently.
okay.
Like they did like the dedication of like 100 year, that's probably wrong. 100 years, it's probably maybe 50. I don't know. But something of like the Fendi baguette. She like stepped down. She did a whole
Oh
Vogue
wow.
cover about her experience. Like she's been out and
Yeah.
about recently. So I was shocked to see her not there.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Linda Evangelista, she was one of like the Chanel muses of like the 80s, 90s,
Yeah, I think
70s.
80, 70s or
She
80s, I think.
did this like cool sculpting procedure, which is like a cosmetic surgery, and she says it like deformed her face, like she hadn't been seen in public for like years, and then like she recently, I guess, has been stepping out. She looks fine to me, so I don't really know exactly what happened, but that is disappointing. I was just really, I wanted to see like these old Chanel muses, but also, you know how Vogue did that cover with all the different Chanel muses like stacked on top of each other, like
Yeah.
recently to promote
Yeah.
the Met. Claudia wasn't on
Yeah.
there.
I was gonna say, I don't know if they were all necessarily muses. I think that they were all inspirations, but I don't think that every single one of those uh, models and actors were muses. Naomi Campbell, um, I don't even think was a muse, but she wore a lot of Chanel and was like good friends with Carl. But if Vogue was doing muses, like Cara Delevingne would be in it, and I
Yeah.
feel like Elle Fanning too, but they weren't in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I just was excited to see what like the main Chanel girls, like Carl's like girls would have worn. But I don't know. I would
Yeah.
like an explanation from Claudia. Um, she did post Dua Lipa on her story because for a while she didn't. I was wondering like maybe she was mad that like Dua Lipa like I just love to stir up drama and I like that's why I like fashion is because I just like will make up all these stories. But she did post Dua, so it doesn't seem to be any like bad blood. Cool. So if you were to go to the Met, hypothetically, who would you want to dress you? And like what would be your non-negotiables?
So it definitely depend on the theme, I feel like, but I've always said that if I was ever to suddenly become famous or be able to do some sort of red carpet, I'd want to be dressed by Schiaparelli so badly. Um, I just everything he does is great. Or
Hmm.
Gautier, but I think Schiaparelli.
Yeah. I don't really have an answer. I've kind of always said like Versace just like out of my ass because I've just always been attracted to like bold colors.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely want like a bold color. I love pink, but I feel like Valentino pink has kind of like ruined pink in fashion for me. If I see
Yeah.
those goddamn shoes one more time, I will have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Those are the
definitely,
shoes.
oh my God, the shoes. Like because they've been like Zara-fied now and like Forever 20 and I'm just like enough. And like
Yeah.
celebrities are still wearing them and I'm like, guys, like
They come out
find
with
someone new.
new colorways and new
I
shapes
know.
for those shoes all the
Yeah,
time.
the Valentino. And actually, maybe I would be dressed by Valentino because I think they usually do a good job. I definitely would want a big train and definitely a headpiece, like something like Sarah Jessica Parker wore to Heavenly Bodies. I love
Yeah.
headpieces. So I would definitely want to do a big one.
Yeah. A headpiece would be fun. I would want to wear something that I can walk up the stairs in. I feel like they're constant like I feel like they look so silly sometimes when they're like
Yeah, I'll commit. I'll commit.
yeah.
And I also just I'm happy for Kim that she like, kind of took a break this year from like torturing herself. But I just always loved like how she really and truly treated the Met like it was the Super Bowl. Like she trained for the Met. Like she was the
Yeah.
pioneer of Ozempic. Like, I mean, say what you will, but like loses all this weight like for the her wet look for camp, I think. she like her bones were like rearranged because they like sucked in her waist so much, and she did like the Marilyn Monroe thing. Um so I definitely love that she made like a spectacle out of it because I
Yeah.
don't know. But I'm happy for her. Like she deserved a break this year.
Yeah.
Um, so I know we've kind of like kicked this around a lot, but for invites for the Met, is it true like you can just buy an invitation or you can just buy a ticket to the Met?
So not everyone can.
Yeah.
Um, I know in fun fact, 2012, Kate Upton was not invited, so she wrote a check for $25,000, and ultimately went. But it's things like that. I don't like you or me couldn't just write a $50,000 check and go to the Met Gala.
Yeah.
Um, and if you could, I feel like more people would be doing that.
For sure. Yeah.
But Anna Winter has to invite everyone. You have to be on her list. And if you pay, I think it's like I think she ultimately decides everybody.
Yeah.
I did just learn though, if you are on like in the New York Council of the Met or like in New York politics, you automatically have to go, and Anna Winter hates it. She like refuses
Ooh.
to say hi to them. I know this because someone who goes to my hairstylist is one of the council members, and he was in there talking about it the other day when I was getting my hair done. And yeah, he was like laughing about how like she refuses to like shake hands and like get so mad because they're the only people at the Met that she does not invite.
Damn, that's actually crazy. So, what do you think? So, people get really like exclusive about the Met, like they don't want influencers there or YouTubers there. And I feel like this year was really like there were no influencers or anything there. Like, what do you think of like the Addison Rays and James Charles and Dixie D'Amelios of the world going?
They should not have gone. I agree with that. I think it's a celebrity affair. I know that it's like people who are like hot right now are the people that are going, but I and for no reason other than that, like I just watch it to want it to be like I watch it to watch the A-list celebrities walk across the carpet up the stairs, like knowing that some random girl who like dances on TikTok and that's how she blew up. But I
Yeah.
also have a thing with like influencers in general. Like I feel like they just are given too much power, I feel like.
Yeah.
I granted the same thing could be said about celebrities, but I think
Yeah.
it just yeah,
I'm
I
sure
don't
that like
know.
working in fashion PR that you're privy to certain things that us lay people in the Midwest aren't. Um, and as you don't have to give any details, but have you had any like negative interactions with influencers?
In general?
Yeah,
Y- oh yeah.
in New
I
York.
I um yeah, for just like hosting events through my company or like trying to gift people or just like run-ins in general. Yeah. I'm sure some of them are I know some of them are great. I've like met a bunch that are awesome, but there are also a lot that like are really hard to deal with.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do they just like ask for free stuff or?
Yeah, a lot of them are asking for free stuff, but I kind of get that. It's more so
Yeah,
sometimes at like events when you're in person and people are just like acting like they're the shit, basically,
got
like
it.
being disrespectful. It's like, okay.
Yeah. No, that's super annoying. But yeah, so this year was pretty rid of influencers. What do you think of Emma Chamberlain being like the correspondent?
So she was the correspondent last year too. She's like very big with Vogue.
Yeah.
So she's like worked her way up. I almost consider her a celebrity now. I know she technically is an influencer, but I
Hmm.
consider her like a model celebrity. She's like made it. You know, she persevered and she made it. I like her. Although I don't necessarily think that I love her style. I think she's just one of those people who's skinny and pretty and looks good and things. I don't necessarily think I love the clothes that she wears.
Yeah. No, that is so true. I think her style was really big when it was, because that's what she was known for, was like when Emma Chamberlain started a trend, whatever. And that was like when
Yeah.
it was like accessible, normal stuff, like the teddy jackets. But now it's like when she wears something, I'm like, can't wear that. Like if I cut my hair
Yeah.
into a mullet and put on like something crazy, no one would take me seriously. Cause like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and like I said, like I think she always looks good. I just think that she just like is skinny and pretty, and you know, when you're skinny and pretty, you look good and everything.
yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Um, Cool. So, what did you think of the theme overall? Like when it was first announced, what was your reaction and has it changed after seeing the Met?
So I personally, I'm very torn. Um, he, Carl, as a person, not to know because obviously I didn't know him, but as a person to like follow along via news, was a little bit out there with his beliefs. Like he definitely would be canceled if he was, you know,
Yeah.
saying the stuff that he was saying before. Um, However, I do think that he was an actual creative genius. I mean, he just there are so many trends and just like things in fashion that are because of him.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm torn. I mean, I'm torn between, you know, him, saying horrible things about, overweight people and him saying horrible things about Jewish people and all of that. I'm Jewish. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I get it, but I get like why people were upset with the theme, but yeah, I just think that I mean he was great.
So, what can we like attribute to him that's in like accessible fashion now?
He was really big on the blazers and the accentuated collars, the waists. He did a lot of really interesting things in swimwear. I would say that he kind of played on like the micro bikinis
Hmm.
and all of that. Yeah, and then I just feel like when you see Chanel specifically, I just feel like I don't know, I just feel like from a fashion viewpoint, you can tell which collections are his.
Yeah.
Um, he just they're so eloquent, but
Yeah,
also
it's
some of them
definitely,
are not. Like it's
yeah. Chanel, I feel like toes this line between like classy tweed blazer set, the skirt set, like Parisian, and then also being like punk rock, like Kristen Stewart. I was kind of surprised to learn that Kristen Stewart was like either a muse or an ambassador because it like doesn't
yeah.
fit, but like I guess it does because Chanel's kind of punk rock, for lack of a
Yeah.
better phrase.
Yeah, they were he was kind of the first, or I don't want to say the first because that might be wrong, but he really played into like women in suits.
Hmm.
And actually, it was Dior that I believe was the first to do the whole suited fitted look. But Chanel was like, yeah, Chanel just has that, women in suit thing
Yeah.
figured out.
So Karl Lagerfeld, for those of you who don't know, he was the creative director of Chanel. So he's like the Chanel guy. Like he is synonymous with Chanel. So he was the creative director from 1983 to 2019. So like 40 years, which is insane. And there's an analysis that says that half of the creative directors for like 40 houses have only been in their positions for 5 years or less. So there's a ton of turnover with creative directors. Like they're constantly being churned out. And it's insane that Karl Lagerfeld did that for like 40 years. So that's why he's
Yeah.
really synonymous with Chanel. He also did a lot of work at Chloe, sorry. Oh, fuck, Patou and Balmain.
Balmain,
Okay,
Chloe, Patou, and he did some work at Fendi as well.
got it. Okay, so I'm not so bad. So like he's done a lot and he's really like credited with that like the Chanel handbags, how they're like quilted, like right? So like he did a lot with that and like the tweed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
and then black and white. So I'm wearing my little Karl Lagerfeld shirt today. So I was like about to put on like my classic turtleneck. And then I went to a vintage pop-up this weekend and I saw this shirt and I was like, this is so nice. And I felt like this was on theme. So that's what Karl wore
Very
for
on
me.
theme.
So, okay, a brief history of some of Karl Lagerfeld's problematic statements. He was allegedly fed up with the Me Too movement. Um, so that's not a good thing to say. He complained a lot about like plus size models, said that no one wanted to see them, and just a lot about like body, like being overweight. But sorry, Karl Lagerfeld was not so thin himself, so maybe he should have like taken a Pilates class or something because he was not like, I mean, in his later years maybe, but I saw some pictures of him from the 80s and 90s. I'm like, this fucking guy. But he did apologize for that eventually. And just a lot of problematic things about like this, like being safe on set or like models being comfortable on set with like being touched and, you know, like modeling and fashion, there's like nudity and stuff. So I imagine he didn't always cultivate a really safe environment. Um, so yeah, a lot of like problematic comments. He went on like an anti-Semitic rant, famously. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of like that, which a lot of people, of course, were like, why are we honoring this person who's like cultivated this like toxicity in the fashion industry? But I just feel like the fashion industry and high fashion is just inherently problematic. Like you're never going to have this like perfect or like not perfect, but like an industry that really values like inclusivity when it's based on like looks. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that that is a hard reality to face for fashion lovers is that, you know, we are obviously from, making waves in plus size models and, and diversification and all of that, but I feel like it's just, and people can tell, like it's such a facade. Like this year there were almost no plus size models, even though last year and the year before there were. Like it just fashion is, I don't think, gonna change because the people that are going into it are the same, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like it's, the people that are getting big up there who are saying, they're doing all of these things, like the things that are going viral, the things that are getting likes. I mean, from the long point, like I guess it is the consumer, but it's like, I don't know, it depends. It's like who is the person that needs to stop it? Does the designer need to just change what they're doing even though they're making money doing that? Or does the consumer just need to stop doing things that they don't necessarily believe in? It's the same thing with fast fashion.
Yeah.
So it just, yeah, it's really yeah, that part is tough because it seems like it's changing, but like it's not. And
Yeah.
to say that I love it, which I do, could be like hypocritical to like what my actual beliefs are in real life, but it's like a form of art to me, which
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I
Of
could go on like
course.
a rant back and forth for hours about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fashion inherently is art and it's history and it's everything. And I feel like people that don't want to participate in fashion or don't like just cancel it. Like, I don't want to get involved at all because of the problematic things. Like, that is doing a disservice. I feel like to advancing the movement. Like, I feel like the more people get engaged with fashion and become interested in it and like demand these things and create spaces for themselves, like that is going to drive change. Because if everyone just like turns their head and they're like, oh, well, fuck those like capitalist, like elitist, fat phobic, whatever, like we don't want to be a part of that anyways, then that's just like giving them permission to just continue this cycle of toxicity. Um,
Yeah, exactly. And also people that say that they don't want a part in fashion, you always have a part in fashion, no matter what it is that you're buying or doing, even if you're shopping vintage or shopping or
mhm.
thrifting, you're inherently in the fashion cycle. Like if you wear clothes, you are in the fashion cycle. It reminds me of that scene in Devil Wears Prada where
Of course.
Anne Hathaway is talking about she doesn't get the difference in the blues, and that Meryl Streep goes on the whole rant about how Oscar de la Renta first debuted
Yeah.
cerulean on the in his collection, and then it trickled down into mainstream fashion, and then to department stores and things like that. Like everything that you see is either coming from the consumer or it's coming from the designer one way or another, and it's meeting in the middle. Um, so yeah, you're never not a part of fashion. So
Yeah.
it's
No, I totally agree. And also, like, the
yeah.
Met Gala in and of itself is a charity fundraiser for the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I think I'm getting this right, but the Met, like the exhibit is the only part of the Met that like doesn't get funds. Okay, let me just like pull up this tweet that I'm referencing. Um,
Okay, yeah, I don't know if I know the answer to
Okay, so
this.
this is from, I'm gonna put this tweet in the like carousel images that I post for this episode. So the Met Gala funds the Costume Institute, and it's one of the premier institutes for the study, research, and preservation of fashion in the world. The department currently holds over 30,000 items spanning 7 centuries. It is also the only department that has to entirely fund itself. So, like the PR of the Met being this like massive and like glamorous party, it's worked really well to drive money to this department and then also to drive people to go visit the department because like when you're visiting New York and now that the Met has like quadrupled in popularity according to Google Trends, when people are going to New York, and that's what I did. Like even last year I went to New York and I like made a point to go to the Met and I wanted to see like that specific like Met exhibit. There's probably
Mm-hmm.
so many people that are doing that now. And so to even say, like, there's such an elitism to like say that like fashion is like, oh, it's so like self-centered or it's so like self-indulgent and like I don't care about that. Like to its core, it really is just a form of history and just a form of art. So by like eliminating fashion and looking over fashion, you're just completely overlooking like a really central and integral part of like history and preservation. Like you
Yeah.
can't like it's like that's like they're like it's like a library, you know? Like what if like there was a library gala and everyone like dressed up as like Colleen Hoover or whatever the fuck and like you like canceled that and then we had no libraries.
Yeah, that's my thing is it's all art, and that's why I have a some choice words about Kim Kardashian wearing Marilyn Monroe's dress, and why I have choice words about people who are like shitting on Doja Cat for her look is
Yeah.
because first off, for the Kim Kardashian's dress, to me, like that is art. If they knew that she wasn't gonna fit in it, it was gonna get destroyed. Like you wouldn't let a celebrity borrow a Monet from the Met for a party and then it get brushed on the sides like a little bit of scratches. Like that wouldn't be okay. There would be outrage for that. So, and then on the other side, people shitting on Doja Cat, she's not taking it seriously or she looks bad. She was also the one in the red jewels that went viral. That
Mhm.
was at the Schiaparelli show. Um, Fashion's supposed to make you feel something. Art is supposed to make you feel something. I mean, there's a difference between just inherently good and inherently bad fashion, but like for her sense, like it makes you feel something, whether it's anger or like disgust or like absolute joy. So yeah, I have some choice words of people that don't get that.
Yeah, and also have you ever like gone to a boutique on like a 65-degree day with your mom and like just tried on a dress or like pants or whatever your like clothes choice of clothing is and you just have this amazing sales associate who like pulls these pieces for you and you like model it and like you feel amazing and then you buy it and then every time you wear it you like smile because you remember you had that day. If you haven't
Yeah.
had that experience, like I implore you to go and like think about what you're putting on your body just for a minute. And that's
Yeah,
why I've made this like
definitely.
conscious decision not like to quit online shopping, but I'm transitioning into like more in-person like boutique shopping just cuz like that experience of like going into a boutique like whether you're on vacation or wherever and having like a sales associate who like gets you all these items and you just have like such a fun experience. Then every time I wear that, like I have this dress. Sorry, I'm like totally going on a tangent. And I
No,
have
it's
like
okay.
5 questions about the things that you just said. So, do you know the brand COS? COS?
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm from like Buckhead, and my I went home to visit my dad like in September, and we went to the shops of Buckhead, which is like this really bougie like they have like an Hermes and like all those stores. And so we went to lunch, and then my dad and I went into the store Cost, and I found the most like beautiful dress, and it was just such a pleasurable shopping experience. And it's like this like really thick, kind of like stretchy spandexy material, but like I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like thick, and it has like this boning in the front, and it's kind of like a square neck. And I put it on and looked like $1 million. And like I got the dress, and now like every time I wear that dress, like I will plan events around like I want to wear that dress tonight. And then ever since then I've just been like chasing that high, because that's like what fashion should be, not like
Yeah.
your $150 Shein haul for stuff that's going to
Oh,
break in like a
God.
year.
Yeah, I can't even get on the tangent of fast fashion. We'll be here for 3 more hours.
Okay, no fast fashion, but yeah, just trying like to tell myself like be a little bit more mindful about what I'm wearing, because then I like my clothes more
Yeah,
because there's a memory
definitely.
attached to it.
That, and also, I guess I'll just like leave it here. When people look into their closets and they're like, ugh, I have nothing to wear, even though you just did a Zara haul 3 days ago, that is because you have trash in your closet. If you have trash in your closet, you're gonna look in your closet and you're gonna see trash, and you're gonna put it on, the third time wearing it, and you're gonna feel like it's been done before and it's trash. Like, if, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about fast fashion. So.
Wow. So do you never have those moments where you feel like you have nothing to wear?
I mean, yes, there are times when I feel like I have nothing to wear for the event that I'm going to, but I have in the past year and a half um kind of made a commitment to myself where I stopped shopping at like Aritzia, at Zara, at um H&M, all of those types of
Mhm.
stores. And have really, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff. I completely cleaned out my closet, basically started from scratch with like, the very few things that I loved. And I've been basically curating my closet of like designer and like ready to wear clothes since. And I rewear things 7, 8, 9 times plus. I mean, I wear things all the time that are the same, and I never feel like it's been done before. I love my clothes. I spent too much money on all of them, and yeah, so no, I don't ever feel like I have nothing to wear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so amazing. When I moved to New York, on God, hold me to this, I am moving with the clothes on my back and maybe like a knapsack of my favorite items, that black cost dress, because
Yeah.
I want, well, first of all, it's going to be so small. Um, but I want to like be really intentional, and I want to like shop in cool places like how you do. So I'm going to be hitting you up all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I love to go
I hope you don't
shopping.
mind.
So,
Okay, so sorry for the tangent.
no worries.
Um, okay, wrapping up here. So back to okay, I just want to like quickly touch on Anna Wintour. So Anna Wintour has this like crazy pattern of like rescuing problematic figures in fashion like from cancellation, and like being their like saving grace. I don't know, it's kind of like Anna,
Hmm.
chill. So John Galliano was fired from Dior in 2011. Oh my God, wait, I totally just framed Karl Lagerfeld. Okay, I'm so sorry. John Galliano was fired from Dior from following a drug-fueled anti-Semitic rant. I said that Karl Lagerfeld did that, but I'm sure he's had some beef with Jews.
He
Like
did
that's
do
his.
a he did do he had an anti-Semitic rant talking about
Oh,
the
perfect. Okay,
Holocaust and things
good.
along those
No,
lines.
I'm
So,
just kidding. Okay, good. So there's more than one anti-Semite in fashion. Love. Okay. So John Galliano also did an anti-Semitic rant, and then Anna arranged a residency for him at Oscar de la Renta in 2013, and then put his work for Dior in the China Through the Looking Glass Met Gala. So she brought him back into the public eye during the Balenciaga debacle. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I would love your opinion. She published the first interview with the artistic director Dimna after the fallout. Um, Alexander Wang, I completely forgot about this until I was doing research. So basically, in like
hmm
2020, a ton of people started accusing him for like assaulting and drugging people. And he staged a comeback show, and most fashion outlets didn't go to the show, didn't cover it, but Anna sat front row. So ultimately, like I think a lot of it comes down to like Vogue can't afford to lose these alliances, collaborations, and like advertising, and like she maybe has this like fixation on being this like saving grace. I don't know. And then of course with like Karl Lagerfeld, like there's been so much problematic stuff around him, and then when he died, that kind of amplified and like brought back a lot of those comments, because since he was in the news, people dig up old stuff, and she plowed right through it and made him the theme. So what do you think her like fixation is with that?
So I think Anna Wintour really values her relationships. I think that she is not one to, if someone does something that's messed up, she is not one to cast them aside, although she is known to cast her close friends aside on a whim. Um,
Yeah.
it must be some personal issue, but she doesn't do it if it is like an outward issue not related to her. So, I also just, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think she values what people create. I think she's very good at separating the artist from the art. Although I feel like it was easier to do that for people back in the day. Now, the face of the artist a lot of time is the art. Um, like they go hand in hand. But I basically like Galliano for Dior, when he was there, I mean, although he did go on that anti-Semitic rant, I mean, I loved that collection. Galliano for Dior and Tom Ford for Gucci are like my favorite eras, basically.
Hmm.
Um, Demna, I think he is a genius, and he, made people want the most absurd thing, but everything he did told a story. I personally don't think that the whole Balenciaga debacle was his fault. I think that the company was ran wrong. It was basically outsourced to a production company who did it and then not checked before. I mean, I know people are like, it must have been checked, but I like don't think Dimna would have put all of that together and then still let it run. Like I think it truly is just one of those things where, for this case specifically, where you just don't have like a diverse enough board or something, to where you don't have the right people that are catching something like that.
Yeah.
I think it really just fell through. I mean, I know that's no excuse. It's like $1 billion company, but I love Dimna.
Hmm.
Alexander Wang, I actually do have a problem with. I think that I just have a. This sounds like so messed up to be like rating what fucked up things are so fucked up that I that I have a
Let's
problem
do
with
the
it, and
impression
what
Olympics. No,
and
I'm just
what fucked up things like aren't fucked up enough for me to care. Um, I draw the line at sexual assault, I guess, if this is
cool.
where
Anti-Semitism, great. No, I'm just kidding.
no, like I don't
I'm totally
know.
messing with you.
I
No,
think that
I get it.
yeah, I like don't want to be canceled by people.
You won't be.
Alexander Wang, I do have such a problem with that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like refuse to buy Alexander Wang, and even though he has some great shit, but I think that's just more of like a personal thing. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, people can like make their things. If you want to cancel everybody though that has said, an anti-Semitic trope or, some thing racist or has said something, like you're canceling almost every single
Hmm.
celeb, actor, musician. Someone said something at some time. I think that cancel culture isn't necessarily right. I think it should, you should be like cultivating a better
Yeah.
environment.
No, I agree with you. I mean, you wouldn't want to interview any of my like distant family members, like you can't just like cancel everyone left and right.
Yeah.
Um, but no, that was, yeah, I think the Balenciaga, the like takedown of them is insane. Do
It
you think they're
is.
gonna recover? Because like people are coming for anyone that wears Balenciaga.
I think that if Alexander Wang is recovering the way that he is, the Balenciaga will recover because yeah, I don't
I
know.
think people aren't gonna forget. I think they'll come back, like they'll be back, but they're always gonna get those comments, like just from
Yeah,
the
no, they'll
random like
definitely always
left.
get those comments, but like you could, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like in the, I think that they'll be fine in the end. Chanel made a comeback. I mean, Coco Chanel was notoriously a Nazi and, repurposed, uh, Jewish people's money from, the Holocaust to fund her, the whole Chanel empire. And, people don't seem to care all that much about that anymore. So, well, that's also why I didn't say this before, but I do have a little bit of a problem with Chanel in general because of that. But yeah, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
didn't
I
know
think
that.
that yeah, that is a huge uh misguided decision for everybody wearing the flowers at the Met. am blanking on the name of the type of flower, but that actually wasn't Carl's thing. That was Coco Chanel's thing.
Was it the neck
Her
flower?
No, the type of flower that they were all like Cardi
Okay,
B had that flower on her dress. Rihanna had the
got
flower
it.
on her thing. That was
I think what you're talking
actually,
about. Okay,
yeah, Coco Chanel. So she dated, she was in the whole time she was like dated and a Nazi, someone who like was actually like in Nazi regime. And so she was basically like feeding information to the Nazi party. But her Nazi boyfriend basically gave her those flowers, and that's how it became a theme in Chanel. So that wasn't Carl's thing. That was like an yeah,
yeah,
so that was a huge misguided thing that people did, and people didn't talk about that because I don't think people really know that. But like I said, I think people bounce back from almost anything.
yeah.
So
I think it's selective, or maybe not necessarily selective outrage. It's not like Nazi flowers, okay, fat phobic not. Like I think it's more so like
yeah,
whatever gains traction. And
I
like Karl
yeah.
Lagerfeld's comments had traction, and like the Nazi flowers and like her Nazi boyfriend, I guess. It's
Yeah.
like if a tree falls in the woods, like if a tweet doesn't go viral, does anybody really know about it? Like,
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, that's for sure. But I think that there's always going to be people that like things and there's always going to be people that don't agree with it, but I don't necessarily think that that will take down, this huge fashion house. But I'm curious to see. Yeah. I don't know.
yeah. I'm excited to see too. Okay, well, wrapping up here, this has just been such a fun conversation, but just going from Nazis, just want to end on like a light note.
Yeah, sorry. I like went on a
No,
tangent there.
I love it. I feel like I always take things in like a crazy direction, and this is so helpful. But who do you think are the fashion icons right now? Who do you think is overhyped? Like I know like Zendaya, everyone like loses their mind for her. Like what do you think? Do you think like she's the fashion icon? Because that's what everyone's saying.
I do really love her looks. I will say though, again, another point of people um not giving credit where it's due. Like that's all her stylist. Like I'm
Love
sure
it.
she definitely has a play in it, but that's all Law Roche. Everything she wears that people go crazy for, that is Law Roche, 1000%. Like she definitely, has a say in what she wants and what she doesn't, but at the end of the day, your stylist is the one that's like doing things for you.
Yeah.
Um but I would say Megan Fox, I think, has been killing it lately. She is being styled by Maeve Riley, who I think is just absolutely wonderful. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think it's hard for me to like, yeah, because when people say like celebrities are like fashion icons, I'm kind of like, but they're actors and they don't like pick out their own clothes. I mean, okay, also,
Yeah.
you know who I just realized, sorry, was Haley
No.
Bieber wasn't there.
Yeah, she didn't go. I don't know why.
Probably because everyone ran her off the internet. Do you have thoughts
Yeah.
on that, by the way?
I don't. I think the whole thing's stupid. If you're talking about the
Okay.
Haley Selena drama, yeah, I just
Right.
think that that is like the internet making shit up, which is, yeah, I don't know. I do think that a lot of celebrities and a lot of people, designers, maybe weren't there because they don't agree with all of the things that Carl did.
Do you think that's
Um,
why Blake wasn't there?
I feel like maybe, I don't know. I feel like she also just had a kid. But
Yeah.
yeah, that could be. I mean, I also like a lot of designers thought that the theme or could have thought the theme was like too specific. How are you going to dress as a ode to a designer who had a very specific way of looking at things, like if that's not you, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the theme just invited a lot of like I don't know what the word is, but like sameness. Like it was all just black and white and I don't know.
Yeah.
But also like at the same time it like if the theme is too broad and people get really up in arms about like not being on themed, but that doesn't really bother me. Like when I look at a lookbook from like a Met Gala from like 2011, 2012, I feel like no one was really on theme. I don't know.
Yeah, I do like when people follow the theme. But I do think that it's like so open to interpretation. I think that the people that are designing these outfits are so creative that they are seeing some link that the average person isn't seeing. But yeah.
Yeah. It was really rewarding for me this year to have done so much research ahead of time. I feel like fashion, it's like you get out what you put in, kind of. So, like, if you spend time, like, and you can, it's like a treat, it's like Easter eggs. So, like, when you see these looks on like red carpets, it's a reward for the people that like understand what's going on and it's like references and I don't know. So that's why I was really excited when I like saw the Dua Lipa one because I was like, oh my God, I get it. So it's definitely helpful to just like withhold judgment about like not being on theme or whatever and then until you like know the historical background. And I know I'm preaching,
Yeah.
obviously you get it. um
Yeah.
well, good. Okay, well, I am totally out of questions and I've learned so much. Is there anything else you want to add that we didn't touch on?
Um, I will just say I do love Bella Hadid's style, and she notoriously does not have a stylist. She dresses herself.
Wow. Okay, that is tea. I also love Bella Hadid in general.
Yes, me too.
And why wasn't she there last night?
Again, I don't know the answer to that. I was actually shocked that she wasn't there, because I know that she was in a couple Chanel shows. So I have no idea.
I need to know. I need
I
like
know, I
a
like need to
written
know the tea of why people were and were not there. I have no idea.
weird. Okay, well, thank you so, so, so much for coming on and for sharing your insights with me. I just really appreciate it. And I am taking you up on that shopping date when I move to New York.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
All right, bye.